Albert Speer, a name synonymous with the dark legacy of Nazi Germany, began his life in Mannheim in 1905. Born into an upper-middle-class family, Speer experienced a cold and unloving household, where bullying by his brothers compounded his isolation. Speer's upbringing in Mannheim reflected the societal expectations of a well-off family during early 20th century Germany. His father, an accomplished architect, was admired for his professional skills but lacked a close, nurturing relationship with his children. Speer's home life was marked by emotional distance, and he often found himself overshadowed by his siblings. Bullied by his brothers and deprived of parental affection, Speer developed a quiet resilience, but also a lifelong yearning for recognition and validation. Despite the emotional chill within his household, young Speer found solace in the outdoors and academics. He was an avid sportsman, excelling at skiing and mountaineering, activities that gave him both a sense of adventure and independence. His intellectual pursuits, particularly his aptitude for mathematics, revealed an early talent for precision and logic. Speer initially dreamed of becoming a mathematician, but his aspirations were thwarted by his father. Speer's marriage to Margarete Weber, against his mother's wishes, marked his defiance of class conventions, but his career, and later, his morality, would be shaped by far darker alliances. Speer's alignment with the Nazi Party in 1931 seemed at first opportunistic rather than ideological. Economic hardships had pushed him into a precarious architectural career, but a recommendation to Joseph Goebbels in 1932 changed his trajectory. Speer's early commissions for the party headquarters caught Hitler's eye. This fateful introduction propelled Speer into the dictator's inner circle, where his architectural talents merged seamlessly with Hitler's grandiose visions. Speer and Hitler shared a unique relationship that went beyond professional admiration. Hitler saw in Speer a kindred spirit who could bring his monumental dreams to life. Speer's designs, from the sprawling Nuremberg rally grounds to the proposed Volkshalle in Berlin, reflected Hitler's desire for structures that would symbolize the Third Reich's power and permanence. Speer often accompanied Hitler on tours where they discussed architecture, art, and the future of Germany. These discussions forged a bond that afforded Speer significant influence and protection within the Nazi hierarchy. Hitler's fondness for Speer contrasted sharply with his disdain for many other members of his inner circle, who often clashed over power and policy. Despite his favored status with Hitler, Speer's relationship with other key Nazi figures was fraught. Heinrich Himmler, head of the SS, viewed Speer as an outsider and rival. The two frequently clashed over resources and labor allocation, especially as Speer's armament projects increasingly relied on forced labor from concentration camps under Himmler's control. Speer's pragmatic approach to exploiting slave labor for industrial gain often put him at odds with Himmler's ideological obsession with racial purity. Joseph Goebbels, the propaganda minister, initially supported Speer but grew wary of his rising influence. Speer's access to Hitler and his ability to bypass bureaucratic channels fostered resentment among other members of the regime, including Hermann Goering. The Luftwaffe chief, notorious for his self-aggrandizement, resented Speer's growing control over armament production and resources. Yet, Speer's political savvy and Hitler's unwavering support allowed him to navigate these rivalries and consolidate power. Speer's interactions with Eva Braun, Hitler's longtime companion, were limited but revealing. While Speer respected Braun's position in Hitler's life, he reportedly viewed her as a distraction from the serious matters of state. Braun, for her part, saw Speer as one of the few members of the inner circle who treated her with politeness, though their relationship remained superficial. Speer's detachment from the social dynamics of the Berghof, Hitler's mountain retreat where Braun held court, further underscored his focus on professional rather than personal connections within the regime. Speer's designs weren't just structures, they were symbols of Nazi propaganda. The Zeppelinfeld Stadium in Nuremberg, famously illuminated by the Cathedral of Light, was a spectacle designed to awe and intimidate. His mastery of theatricality and symbolism endeared him further to Hitler, solidifying Speer's position as the first architect of the Reich. When Paul Troost, Hitler's preferred architect, died in 1934, Speer stepped seamlessly into his shoes. Speer's architectural Achievements under the Nazi regime were emblematic of his ambition and the monumental aesthetic that Hitler sought to define his vision of the Third Reich. From grandiose propaganda spaces to ambitious urban redesigns, Speer's projects were designed to impress, intimidate, and immortalize the power of Nazi Germany. Speer also left his mark on Werner March's Olympic Stadium in Berlin, constructed for the 1936 Summer Olympics. Speer enhanced its design by adding a stone facade that aligned with the Nazi ideal of monumental architecture. The stadium became a key site for showcasing the regime's power and organization on an international stage, while also serving as a platform for Hitler's propaganda. One of Speer's most tangible achievements was the construction of the new Reich Chancellery in Berlin. Hitler demanded that the building reflect the grandeur of the Third Reich, and Speer delivered within an astonishingly short timeline. Completed in 1939, the structure included vast marble halls and ceremonial spaces designed to overawe visitors. Hitler referred to the Chancellery as the crowning glory of the greater German political empire, cementing Speer's reputation as his trusted architect. As the war escalated, so did Speer's responsibilities. Following the death of Fritz Todt, Hitler appointed Speer as Reich Minister of Armaments and Munitions. Speer's organizational skills boosted war production significantly, even amidst Allied bombings. However, this so-called armaments miracle relied heavily on the exploitation of millions of forced laborers, many of whom perished under inhumane conditions. Speer's post-war narrative painted him as the good Nazi, a technocrat who served Hitler but avoided the ideological fervor of figures like Goebbels or Himmler. At the Nuremberg trials, Speer admitted guilt for using forced labor but denied knowledge of the Holocaust, a claim that shielded him from a death sentence. Instead, he received a 20-year prison term. Documents later revealed that Speer's professed ignorance was a calculated falsehood. His actions, from approving concentration camp expansions to his indifference toward Kristallnacht, belied his claims of innocence. While imprisoned in Spandau, Speer maintained his public image through extensive writings. His memoir, Inside the Third Reich, became a bestseller, offering an insider's account of the Nazi regime while carefully distancing himself from its atrocities. Speer's narrative resonated with a post-war audience eager to compartmentalize guilt, turning him into a symbol of flawed but relatable redemption. After his release in 1966, Speer's fame soared. He published additional works, gave interviews, and became a public intellectual. Yet his personal life remained fractured. Alienated from his children, he focused instead on preserving the myth he had so carefully crafted. Historians gradually dismantled this facade, exposing the self-serving omissions in his memoirs and his deeper complicity in Nazi crimes. Speer's final years were marked by continued efforts to reconcile his past with his public persona. He died in London in 1981, still a figure of fascination and controversy. His grave in Heidelberg bears no grand inscription, a stark contrast to the monumental designs he once dreamed of. Albert Speer's story is a cautionary tale of ambition unchecked by morality. His architectural genius and administrative prowess were inextricably linked to the Nazi machine, which he served with both zeal and calculated detachment. The myth he built around himself, that of the apolitical technocrat, provided temporary solace to a war-torn world, but could not withstand the weight of historical scrutiny. In Speer, we see the dangers of complicity and the seductive allure of power. His legacy challenges us to question not only the morality of actions, but also the narratives we accept about those who shape history.